Good evening, everyone. We are back with another Disney review. This is part of our Disney 100 Years of Wonder retrospective, celebrating, well, we're almost coming up to a year as of October, 100 years since the company was founded. And every week, we're doing reviews on all of the Disney canon, Disney animated classics, sticking to the UK list. For anyone who needs extra confirmation, we might come to Disney's Dinosaur and that random Winnie the Pooh film they made after that date, but we're up to number 41 today, and it's Lilo and Stitch. This is a very popular fan favorite, this one, definitely in terms of those few Disney films that came out after the Renaissance, after the the huge Disney Renaissance period throughout the 90s. I'd say this is probably one of the most popular ones. Even still, next year we're getting a live action adaptation of it. God help us all. But this spawned, I want to say, 3 movies. There was Stitch the movie, Lilo and Stitch 2, Leroy and Stitch, and it says apparently 3 television series. I had no idea there was that many TV series.
Yeah, it's one series, but like 3 seasons.
Oh, okay.
I think. No, well, actually, that's a good point because I know there was a Japanese Lilo and Stitch. I can't remember what it was called.
Oh, okay, that could be it. That could be one.
I know they did a couple of others, so actually, yeah, that could be right because I can't remember what the Japanese one was called, but it was a Japanese Lilo and Stitch. It had a different name, so there were quite a few things it did spawn.
Yeah, this is definitely one of Disney's big merchandise pushing movies, I think, for sure. It was nominated for Best Animated Feature as well, which I didn't realize at the 75th Academy Awards, but it lost to Spirited Away, Studio Ghibli.
Well, this is probably why they released it when they did, because around 2002, that was definitely the time of toys and plushies, and it's like when they released Toy Story, they knew they could make toys out of it. It was a very toy time. Whereas this is when they started to get like the little mascots, because now every movie pretty much you've got a little mascot with the character, because they're thinking, right, what can we sell as a toy? And that's definitely what they were thinking with Stitch. What can we have as a little cuddly toy? What can we have as this? Like you got the
And he definitely works as a cuddly toy, doesn't he? Like, my God, like they're still pushing him, and we'll get a whole Lilo and Stitch research next year, 100% when the live action version comes out. We've had a comment from Brian Emery already, who says, Stitch is one of my favorite summon spells in Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3. I didn't realize he was in Kingdom Hearts 3. That's interesting. I knew he was in 2. And my favorite quote from the movie is, Ohana means family, and family means no one gets left behind or forgotten. Yeah, that's like the main theme of the story, really, isn't it, that? And we've got a comment from Carl, who says, evening, guys, and I hope you're having a good bank holiday. It's not been too bad. It's been fairly uneventful. It's been just a day of practice for me, pretty much, just enclosing myself in these 4 walls.
I always forget it's bank holiday.
Yeah. I mean, I'm away tomorrow on a day trip, so tomorrow's kind of like my bank holiday, I guess. So hopefully the roads aren't too bad.
I've never not worked a bank holiday, so I'm always like bank holiday to me is just like bank holiday, yay! Someone will mention it, I'll be like, is it? Oh, okay, cool.
You're doing good, man. Anyway, and hope you're having a good bank holiday as well. Let us know what you're getting up to. Right, Lilo and Stitch then, 2002, directed by Chris Sanders and Dean DeBlois, if I'm pronouncing that right, probably not. What are your earliest memories of this film? Do you remember seeing this in the cinema? I think you definitely remember the trailers because you kind of reminded me of the marketing campaign for this film.
The earliest thing I remember is the trailers of going to, even when I went to the cinema, like you see it in a trailer, you see randomly like an Aladdin trailer, you'd be like, oh, okay, this is a trailer for Aladdin. And then Stitch will run across on it. Basically, I think in that one, he steals Jasmine away. They fly off on the carpet, and it's just like, okay, cool. And he does the same with Beauty and the Beast. What are the other ones he does? I know those 2 in particular. I remember, but it's the campaigning and the marketing and the trailers that I remember very vividly.
Was there a Lion King one as well, where he takes the place of Simba on Pride Rock?
Yeah, there is as well. Yeah, there's quite a few that they did. That's the earliest thing I do remember of it, and I remember watching it thinking, oh, okay, cool. Okay, like it was just as a kid, it was just confusing, and then I thought it was really cool, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but this is awesome. And the thing is, then before the internet, well, I know the internet has a thing, but before social media and all the big blow up, it was you'd watch it like that, and you'd be like, there's this little character. It's kind of like when you play a game and you're like, how do I beat this boss? You just word of mouth, just go to school and you're just like, who's this little blue character? Who's this? And and then it starts to develop. Whereas now it would just be Disney they release their whole like, oh, we're making this as a new movie, and it's like, all right, cool. They don't go as far into that campaigning anymore, which is kind of sad that we've kind of lost that. I think they could still do it if they wanted to and not announce it all at once, but they've got a system now, haven't they? That's the thing.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think I actually forgot about the trailers to this until you mentioned it a while back, and we watched them on YouTube again, and then suddenly it all came flooding back to me, and I remembered seeing some of those trailers. I feel like some of them were probably at the beginning of some of the VHSs that I had advertising that new Disney film that was coming out. And even the poster for this, like the original theatrical poster, is Stitch front and center, white background, so the attention's all on him, and you've got an array of famous Disney characters around. You've got like Genie, Beast, Dopey, Pumbaa, and Rafiki, and everything all pointing and looking disgusted at Stitch. So immediately that grabs your attention if you're a Disney fan, and you're like, "Oh, who's this new character then? Lilo and Stitch. Let's see what this is all about." And I think the film overall, and certainly the intention behind it before it was made, I think it was the president of Disney at the time, Thomas Schumacher, was quoted as saying they wanted to produce the Dumbo of our generation. They wanted to go back to like those old timey feel, like old mascots and everything. And I mean, before this point, like after the Renaissance, those last few films that were reviewed, you've had Fantasia 2000, Emperor's New Groove, which, you know, we both loved Emperor's New Groove. And what was the one last time? Atlantis. Kind of not your usual type of Disney film. Whereas this one feels, and this is probably why it's one of the most popular ones for around this time period, it does feel like it's hitting those beats with that like very marketable, visually striking character, you know, like themes of family, and even the animation itself, the watercolor backgrounds is a technique that had been used in the really, really old Disney films like Snow White, Pinocchio, and of course Dumbo. So it really seems like they were trying to capture that feel of that old school Disney film, but trying to, you know, push it for this modern generation.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely one of those, like you say, it ticks the boxes. It does the whole, you've got the cute plushie, you've got this. So I get what they mean with the whole, like, obviously, the Dumbo of our generation. I wouldn't say it is the Dumbo of our generation. Like, I wouldn't go that, maybe I wouldn't go that far just because maybe because Dumbledore's got so many more years behind it. That's why it's more, you know, that's why Dumbo's more iconic, I guess. But Stitch, or maybe it is because of the market, but Stitch always felt like as much as it hits all those tropes and it does all that, he's a little plushie, he's this, is that, as much as it does all that, he always felt like the weird Disney cousin, if that makes sense. Like, kind of, he almost feels, as much as there's all that's official Disney, he almost feels like the unofficial Disney mascot, if that makes sense. Kind of like Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, like you like a bit different because Oswald is more technically official, but you know what I mean, like that kind of, you know, he's there, you know, it's Disney, but he always feels kind of left side, only because I think it's because of the way it was marketed, and I think it was great and there's nothing wrong with it. That's how I've always kind of seen him.
Yeah, definitely. I was trying to think if you were going to sort of like chisel a Mount Rushmore of famous Disney characters, other than the main mascots, other than, you know, like Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, Pluto, etc. You'd probably have like Genie, you'd probably have Beast, maybe like Simba or something. I kind of want to say you put Stitch on there as well. Like, really, really popular.
Well, this is the thing, and I agree. It's kind of like if you made a Mount Rushmore of Van Halen members, you'd have, or like you'd have like the original art, and then you'd have Gary Sharon, who was on one album that you're like, yeah, cool, he is a member of Van Halen, that's cool, but he's kind of over there. You know, that's how I'd kind of see it.
Exactly like that. Exactly. Love it. Oh, you're slacking this week, mate. 8 minutes 50 until we got the Van Halen reference. You were in like the first minute last week.
I think it was less than like 15 seconds or something. So
a premature Van Halen reference last week, but we always appreciate a good reference. So yeah, this film, I mean, there's not a whole lot with the behind the scenes of this one. It really front and center is Chris Sanders. He's the brainchild behind this whole thing. Apparently, he conceived the character of Stitch in 1985. He was working on a children's book at the time, which ended up being unsuccessful. So he just kind of shelved the character. There's an early concept art drawing of Stitch, and it looks kind of terrifying. It looks like a mutated. Well, it's exactly what Stitch is, I suppose, a mutated creature, but it looks too lifelike, almost like the sketch. It's kind of weird. It's got sort of like black and white stripes, almost like a Tim Burton Beetlejuice kind of character. And it's this sort of a cat face, but with like spiky spines and a bit of a Cheshire cat grin. It looks terrifying. But apparently the original story was going to be about this creature who lives in a forest. And beyond that, there was no real explanation as to where this thing came from. He was just a creature that lived in the forest. So I guess when you look at the final film, You can see elements in there where probably my favorite scene in the film, where he takes the Ugly Duckling book and he walks into the forest, into the woods alone. I guess that could be a little bit of a comparison to that early initial idea. And then in '87, Chris Sanders kind of worked his way up. He was appointed as in the visual development department, and his first project was Rescuers Down Under, and then was a storyboard sequence artist on the big hitters like Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, and he was head of story on Mulan. And I think around '97, the president of Disney invited a bunch of people to his farm to sort of conceive a bunch of ideas as to what they were going to do after the Disney Renaissance, like what their next slew of Disney ones were going to be. And everyone just kind of pointed to him. They really liked his art style, Chris Sanders' art style, and that's where he was quoted as saying, "We want to make the Dumbo of this generation." So everyone kind of deferred to Chris on this one. It was his initial story. As it developed, it went through a few, various drafts. Characters kind of changed here and there. But essentially, like, they wanted to adopt his art style as well. And a lot in the art department created sort of tutorials of how to mimic Chris's style. So really great that they gave him a shot. And it's nice to have like an original concept. How about that? Because they were looking at things that we don't want to always be adapting, folklore and traditional fairy tales all the time. We want to make something new. We want to present something new. And I think on that regard, they were really successful with this one.
Yeah, something Disney hasn't done in a while, made something new.
Yeah, I know. Get used to that. What have we got? Frozen, Moana 2, Frozen 3, Zootopia 2.
Yeah. It would even be new if they adapted a really old story that, like, it was like, right, this is new, we've never done this before. Even that, they just can't do that, apparently, can they?
Yeah. It seems like a far cry from, let's think of some original concepts we can make. So yeah, it's a shame. But
and someone will come up with a really good one and they won't take it because I'll be like, yeah, but we've got to play it safe.
Where do we dive in with this one then? So, well, let's. When was the last time that you watched this film? Because I think I remember you saying you watched this relatively recently.
Yeah.
Like as of a couple of weeks ago, months ago, maybe.
I watched it in the lead up a couple of times, including bits of the series. It's great. It's never lost any of its charm. It's always one that I do love going back to. I would say it stands up there with one of my favorites in a weird way, because like if I talk about my favorites, like Aladdin is like like that, and then you got Hercules, but this is one I can always come back to. Always, like, no matter the kind of situation. And I do feel like this is one of them that is always going to be up there, because it's just a fun movie. There's not, if I was to just put it in a nutshell, I'd say it's just a fun movie. It doesn't have to be depth. There doesn't have to be explore this character, because the thing about Stitch, like you even said before, when he, when the original idea was he was just a creature in the forest, there wasn't much more to it. Again, as much as he becomes from this evil alien or whatever to Lilo's best friend, and he disguises himself as a dog and blah 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 blah. As much as there's all those kind of things, essentially he is just an alien, and it's just cool and it's funny, and that's the movie. You don't have to think too much about it. You can just watch it and put it on and just go, "This is cool." It's just a little alien. He's just kind of cool. And that's essentially it, and that's what's great about it. And I think that's one of the things that gives it its charm.
I actually forgot how long the little like mini prologue went on for at the beginning, because it's quite a long time before you get Walt Disney Pictures Presents and then the title actually coming up on screen. It goes on for, I want to say, like at least 10 minutes, maybe just shy of 10 minutes. You get all the preamble about this intergalactic race of aliens, and that you have Jumba, who's this deranged madman scientist, or I think he says, as he prefers to be called, evil genius, voiced by Cogsworth. I forgot that he did the voice of him, which is great. He's cropped up a few times, that voice actor. He played Governor Ratcliffe, and he had a little bit part in Atlantis, the film that we did last week. And then he's Jumba, man of many talents with his voice, kind of doing like a Russian accent, I want to say, in this as Jumba. But it's a really cool setup. It's like a little bit of an action beat, and we kind of see what Stitch has ultimately designed for it, to create chaos and to destroy everything it comes into contact with. But he's immediately lovable, and he's immediately got a lot of personality. And one of my favorite sort of visual gags at the beginning is how Captain Gantu takes his DNA and trains the two guns on him when he's a prisoner. And then he finds that if he like drools or he spits, the guns follow that. And I thought, that's quite an ingenious way that he breaks out. So it's fun.
I feel like they use that in Birth by Sleep with the guns, and then they aim at you. I can't remember now, but I think they do. Yeah,
I think the summon in Kingdom Hearts 2 has him with the 2 blasters, I think, doesn't it?
yeah, but I'm on about the world itself in Birth by Sleep. It does something like that, or it might just be where they do the boss battle where Sparky gets into the guns and shoots you. It might be one.
Right. Oh, I forgot there was a Lilo and Stitch world in Birth by Sleep. I thought he was
Yeah,
just a summon.
no, in Birth by Sleep it's a proper world, and the thing is they include a summon from no, sorry, let me start again. They include an experiment from Stitch the movie, which was 221. So they go beyond that whole just first movie, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. Brian in the comments says, I wish there was an actual Lilo and Stitch world in the Kingdom Hearts game besides Deep Space in Birth by Sleep. I think Hawaii would look pretty cool if they kept the same kind of art style. I mean, you've sent me videos on your phone as you've been playing Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm blown away by the graphics in that. They're almost to the point where I think you were sending me videos from the Tangled world, and I thought you were watching Tangled. It's that close to like the original film. It's astounding how far they've come. So if they could capture the same sort of watercolor look as this, I think Hawaii would be really cool to explore.
Yeah, I think that's probably one thing that would. I don't know how they would. I don't know how expensive it would be, but I think that would be one thing if they did that in Kingdom Hearts 4. Every world had like Lilo and Stitch world would have that kind of watercolor look. You know, you'd have. What's another really good example of a unique Disney movie that's got like unique art style?
Well, like Emperor's New Groove, I guess, if you did that, or even Atlantis, maybe.
It would be cool if they did things like that. I don't think they'll go as far as every world will be like that. Like everything will be different like that, but that would be really cool to see. The biggest thing I'd want to see with Lilo and Stitch though in Kingdom Hearts 4 would be instead of in the first one, you collect 101 Dalmatians. You collect the 99 puppies that were everywhere. You go to treasure chests. It's like, oh, you collected Dalmatians 2, 4, and 8, or whatever. That would be good if in Kingdom Hearts 4 they did that for all the remaining experiments. So, the remaining 625 experiments, and then you'd open chests, and then experiments because there's a lot more 600 rather than just 99. You'd have like one chest that have experiments 1 to 100 because you never see them anyway. So you pick a chest, you're like, oh, cool, and you collect experiments 1 to 100. And then every now and then you'd find a chest and it would have trying to think of another one that we see. Can't remember. That's just 287 or whatever. But then you open that and it's actually a boss battle with 287.
Like a little mini boss battle. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's how you collect him. So it's random in the sense of you don't know if it's going to be a boss battle one. You don't know if it's just going to be random collectors ones. And I think that would be a really, really cool collectors thing in Kingdom Hearts 4.
I was like, yeah, I think that'd be really cool to do, but that is straying more into like the TV show realm. But I think you just said that there's Sparky, exactly. And Sparky is from the TV series already.
Yeah, he's in Stitch the movie, and then he is the only other he's the first other experiment you see. I say only other. There's 625 who just sits there making sandwiches, which is great. But he's the other one that you see that they capture and they put him in a lighthouse. And then he leads on to the TV series of finding all the other ones. So they've already done that. So I think that would work, and that would work really, really well.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think, see, if anyone's listening, we're pitching you a Kingdom Hearts game here. Don't let us down, okay?
If they do that, I'll be like, I am owed some money somewhere.
We got big ideas for it. We should definitely do that video of worlds we want to see in the next Kingdom Hearts game. I think we'll do that video at some point, maybe after the retrospective. Let's talk the characters then. So, like, initial concepts for the characters were mostly the same. I think, like, the structure of the story. I mean, the story in its earliest form was Stitch crash lands in the forest and interacts with animals in the forest. That was like the initial idea. And I think the Disney president or one of the story artists or whatever said that you want that like human connection. And if you're going to want like the audience to engage with it, then change it from animals, because the animal kingdom is like alien to us pretty much. So how are you expecting to get those themes across? So they changed it to humans. And I think initially it was going to be like a little boy that Stitch like came into contact with, but they thought that Stitch is already quite boyish, and like a little lad might be almost exactly the same or interact with Stitch and be very similar personalities in that way. So they changed it to a little girl, and that's obviously where we get Lilo and everything like that. So it progressed quite organically, I'd say, the story concept. And then another one that they ended up dropping was that Stitch was going to be the leader of this intergalactic gang. and he was still going to be pursued, but Jumba was going to be one of his cronies essentially, and was going to give chase to Stitch, and then the main bad guy of the film was going to be Ricardo Montalban, who plays Khan in the original Star Trek 2. And that was going to be tying in with that idea of the gang, and I guess the villain of the film was going to be a rival member in his own gang or something like that. But they neatly dropped that.
I like the idea of not personality, that's the wrong one, but not giving him much of a brain, in the sense of he is just your bare bones, because then that having him have a lackey and all that just seems a little bit like you've developed Stitch too much, and he's not supposed to get that kind of development, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And then other characters that sort of got changed throughout was Cobra Bubbles. The initial idea for his character was that he was going to be a lot more zany. They were talking about getting Jeff Goldblum to voice the character. Well, if you know Jeff Goldblum, you know exactly what his characters are like when he's on screen. I think that would have been too off the wall. I kind of like the cool like agent. I mean, they got Ving Rhames to do the character, which I completely forgot that he did the voice. And I think he offsets it quite well. They bring like the whole Roswell incident into it, and he kind of looks like one of the Men in Black. And interesting character concept, I think, for the film.
Do you know what's really cool? In the remake, in the live action remake, they're turning him into a white guy because of obviously, racism, all that kind of shit, because they want everyone as equal. So they're making him white, aren't they?
Are they actually?
No.
Oh, right. I was going to
imagine that.
Yeah, but we always talk about Doctor Strange, how they had the character of the Ancient One, who in the comic book is like an old Asian guy. And they said, we can't have an old Asian guy because it's too much of a stereotype. So let's make him make the character an old Asian woman. And they said, no, we can't make the character an old Asian woman because then that's also a stereotype. So let's make her a white woman and let's get Tilda Swinton to play her, and problem solved.
No.
And then it's ridiculous, but I wouldn't put it past them at this point.
The thing is, they do that with everything, don't they? They turn the white characters black and all that, but they're not going to turn the black character white.
No, of course they won't. No. You've got the voice actress Tia Carrera. I'm probably mispronouncing her name. The one who voices Nani. She apparently was considered for the role of Mulan. Lost it to Ming-Na Wen, and then when she heard they were doing this one set in Hawaii, she auditioned for it and obviously got the part. What I really like about this film, and this was kind of a new thing, really, it hadn't cropped up, certainly not in animated films all that much, was the relationship between two sisters. Now, they'll take this concept and they'll go, absolutely nuts with it when they get to Frozen and Frozen 2. But I think around about this time, I actually can't think of an animated film, really, that has that sort of familial connection like that with two siblings in that way.
Yeah, that's a good point. It was... Yeah, actually,
and it's quite a believable relationship as well. Like the chemistry that both of them have in the film, they're quite argumentative. The older sister trying to pick up the pieces after the parents have died and trying to hold down a job and be that parental figure, but also being a sister. I think Lilo has that great line where the two of them have just argued and then they kind of patch things up in the evening. And she says, I like you better as a sister than a mom, I think she says.
I think my theory is that one of the experiments killed their parents.
Oh God!
And they've like brainwashed them into thinking there's this other world, and they're like, Stitch is there and all that, and it's just literally one of Jumba's experience has killed them and is now fucking with them.
Damn!
And they're just like in a cage in like in outer space, like walking around like zombies, but they can see in their heads something very different.
Well, that's a bold idea. I'm not sure if that's what the story developers had in mind, but
hey, you know what? I think they should. I think that's what I would. If I made the story, I'd be like, that's the actual story. I'm not going to tell anyone, but that's the actual story.
Here you go. Here's a question for you. Carl says, "You've talked me into buying Kingdom Hearts." Yes, we've converted someone else. Do you need to play them in order, or can you go straight to 3?
No, you have.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't make my mistake. Explain it to him, Dale. Go on.
If you go straight to 3, you will be very confused.
Like, you can't. It's like the Captain America films or like the Marvel Cinematic Universe films. Don't watch Captain America, then Winter Soldier, then Captain America: Civil War, because you'll be like, "What the fuck is happening?" You've got to watch everything in between.
I remember it was like, because it was years ago that the first Kingdom Hearts game I played was Kingdom Hearts 2, and I remember being like, what? Like, because loads of things happened. They referred to something. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, it was so good. Yes, play them in order. play them in order of release that they came out, and do
Well,
not
the
skip again.
collections now, I think, package them in a pretty accurate order to
They
play them in,
do,
right?
but they get two the wrong way around. So they put one. Hold on. They put one Chain of Memories in 358 over 2 days, where it should be one Chain of Memories 2, then 358 over 2 days, then Birth by Sleep, then Coded, and then Dream Drop Distance, and then I forgot there's no collection. Yeah, Dream Drop Distance and 0.2, and then 3.
And then don't forget the Symphony game that came out, and the
Oh
mobile
yeah, and
game.
then also Unchained Key. So basically, there's a few to play before 3. But just start with 1. Just start with 1. That's an easy way to put it. Start with 1.
See, I've only ever played 1. I've played the hell out of 1. I've played that multiple times, and then Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. Like I never had Chain of Memories because I think it was Japanese only, and I think it only got released for us later on when it got like the mix. Or if you had a like a chipped PS2, you could probably like track down a copy, like an imported copy or something like that. So I played Kingdom Hearts 1 into Kingdom Hearts 2, foolishly thinking that this is a sequel to the first game, so I can just saunter straight into Kingdom Hearts 2. And immediately from the prologue, I was completely lost because I've missed crucial story information that I am now playing through when I actually get time to play my PlayStation 4, which isn't very often, but I am midway through Chain of Memories and enjoying it. So
Kingdom Hearts was the first series I ever touched that if you like blink or whatever, you're literally like, no, I need to go back. It's the first series that genuinely like took me about 3 playthroughs of the whole series to understand the story.
Dude, I've played Kingdom Hearts 1 like 10 times. I still don't know the story of that first game.
It gets even more confusing, but it's the greatest game series ever. It's amazing.
I don't even understand Kingdom Hearts 1, and that is probably the simplest story out of all the Kingdom Hearts games.
It was probably also my introduction to, if you're telling a story, if you just make it confusing, people will just go, yeah, cool.
Mm-hmm.
My introduction to that, you could just be like, well, we'll just make, if this doesn't make sense, we'll make this bit not make sense, and then this bit in some way that kind of makes sense, but everyone will just go, yeah, I get that.
Hey, I'm just in it for the fun Disney stuff. Okay, it's a very unique idea, match made in heaven.
Right.
Let's talk. Well, where do you want to go from this? Like favorite characters, favorite moments. Let's do that.
Favorite character is really hard. I want to say but he's not in this movie. He's only in the sequel. I'll say as the overall. The only reason why I say 625 is because he just sits there and makes sandwiches, and I thought I can relate to this guy. It's just cool. Aside from that, in this movie, that's actually a really really hard one. Who your favorite would be?
I like Nani. Nani's probably my favorite.
Because I don't know. I mean, yeah, but every single character is so unique as well. Like, there's not a this one stands out, because you could easily. I get why you say Nani, like I do, but then if you had said Pleakley, I'd be like, yeah, I get why you say that. Like, it's probably the hardest one so far on who your favorite character would be. Do you know? I kind of want to say Pleakley because because he's just. I always like. This is a weird reason. I always liked the shape of him. I thought he had a really cool shape. That aside, I thought his character he had a really cool personality in the TV series as well. Like, especially he like cross dresses all the time to like fit in, and he's just that weird kind of. I
remind me of Bugs Bunny a little bit with all the cross dressing.
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny used to do that quite a lot, didn't he? In the cartoon.
Yeah, and he's very like, you don't ever really take him seriously, like ever. You never do. I want to say him, but then I don't know. I really like the Queen as well. I really liked her.
The Grand Councilwoman. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And the reason I think I would say her is because, one, she's great, but also because I remember having a little figure of her when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's a McDonald's toy, but I do remember a little figure. I don't know if they did McDonald's toys.
I think no, it was a McDonald's toy. Yeah, they did that character. Yeah, I think they did a Gantu as well, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I think I do can't remember the collection, but I remember her in particular, who is also in Kingdom Hearts, but Pleakley isn't. Really strange. But like, it's a hard one for that. But I want to stand by Pleakley and just say he's just that. He feels like the comic relief character. Mm-hmm. You know, he does feel like a bit of like the Jar Jar Binks kind of, but he's because obviously he's supposed to be serious, but he's really not. So he's the one you would never take seriously. That's why I want to choose him. But that was a really, really hard thing for my brain to go through. Though.
He offsets Jumba quite well, I think. That they are your comic relief characters, sort of like your odd couple that are thrown together in this situation. Yeah. And I think the two of them play off each other quite well. Jumba's quite silly still, but he's definitely the more serious of the two. I think Pleakley balances it out quite well. You usually need that kind of comic relief duo in a Disney film somewhere. I really like the Grand Councilwoman as well. I actually thought she was voiced by a different person. So she's voiced by Zoe Caldwell. But when I was listening to her, she sounds so much like Grandmother Willow from Pocahontas. Linda Hunt is the name of the voice actress who plays Grandmother Willow. And I thought it was her still. It's not someone completely different, but she sounds very similar. But her voice does command that kind of presence which the character needs. I mean, Stitch is probably my favorite character overall, I guess. But aside from like, you know, the cutesy stuff and like the zany stuff with Stitch, it's definitely Nani, because I think she's the most sympathetic one. You know, the whole thing where she's trying to hold down a job and she's struggling. She shows moments of vulnerability and weakness. One of my favorite bits is the bit in the hammock where she knows that she's going to have to say goodbye to Lilo, and it's kind of their last night together. And she's essentially saying that although we're going to be apart, we're still family and we're still together. And it's the bit with the flowers where she sings that lullaby. I was getting misty watching this film again, actually. And I know a lot of people say it's one of the most emotional Disney films. And I don't know if I've ever felt that way before, but it's been quite a long time since I've watched this film. I genuinely can't remember the last time I watched it before I rewatched it for this retrospective. I did see this one at the cinema when it came out, and I think I was probably at Butlins again around about that time. I think I went to see it there, and I had it on video and I watched it a few times, but honestly, it might not be since then, since I watched it on video a handful of times.
That's a long time ago.
It is, so it was nice to go back to it. There were some bits that I'd forgotten. I actually forgot how many Elvis Presley songs were in this. I'm a huge Elvis fan, so it was just an absolute pleasure to get all of those songs in there. But the emotional beats and the score, there were so many bits where I could feel a tear coming on a little bit, and it's, you know, it's the power of animation.
Like you mentioned, obviously the music with Elvis and stuff. I think the music in this is really, really good choice. It's
Great
obviously,
stuff,
yeah. I mean, there is original music in it, but it's obviously all goes on that whole pop culture. I say pop culture, but obviously it's Elvis and stuff. But you know, that whole pop culture, real world feely sort of stuff, rather than like a lot, like for instance, it's got Suspicious Minds, that sort of stuff, and it's songs you know, so it's got that real world feel to it as well, which I think works quite well, because them doing that, it shows that sort of like Stitch is coming to our world, and it's like okay, because we get it, like the music is from our world as well. So I thought that, you know, the music I think is great in this,
and they do show those real world things, don't they? Like there's a bit where Stitch sees the TV store, and there's TVs in the window that are playing like those old school B-movie horror films where they magnify like a tarantula, and it's
they should have played the 9/11 crash in like been like breaking news. They should have done that in the TV.
Oh no. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, we'll bring the whole tone down with 9/11, but this film was the climax of this film was massively edited, almost at like I was going to say at the 11th hour. Oof.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? But yeah, and then like she holds up a picture of like actual Elvis, so there are some like real world elements to it. Of course, Elvis did a lot of gigs in Hawaii, and he was very, very popular there. So it's nice how they tie that in, and the music just works. It's a great energy to it. You get like Heartbreak Hotel, Burning Love in the end credits. That's a cover version though, isn't it? That one. What's the main one? Devil in Disguise, that sort of montage where Nani's trying to get the job and she's trying to teach Stitch to be a model citizen. That's probably one of my favorite moments of the film, that actually. And yeah, I just forgot how many Elvis songs were in there, and it was great.
I wish I could afford a nice little house in Hawaii with no job. That'd be the dream.
Eating mint ice cream like that, like the fat guy in this movie.
So the fact that it would fall on the floor, I'd be like, that's all right, I don't care. Fucking hate that shit.
You'd be in Hawaii. You'd be in like one of the most gorgeous places on Earth.
My thing was, you know, you get to live in Hawaii, but you have to eat mint ice cream every day. But that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. I will take one for the team. I'd learn to love it,
or
hate it even more.
Brian says, I think it would be cool if the voice actors have a cameo in the live action Lilo and Stitch movie. I believe the one who plays Nani is in the movie.
A lot of them do though, because Stitch is still voiced by Chris.
Yeah.
I think there's another one. I think the guy that voices David voices someone else as well.
That's right.
I can't remember. But there is a couple. So yeah, that's the thing. As much as it's going to be shit because it's like there's no point. I think it seems like the most, in the sense of Stitch doesn't look like, you know, what the first edit we got of Sonic. Doesn't look like that. He actually looks genuinely looks like, okay, this is, basically looks exactly the same. They've got cameos from the character. I think this is probably, I mean, I haven't looked too much into the other Disney live actions, because after, when was it I started watching them? I think I've watched like 2 of them. Cinderella, which was all right, and Beauty and the Beast, which was dog shit, and I never watched a single live action one after that. But this seems like it's got the most references to the original, but I could be wrong.
I'm probably just going to give it a miss, because
what's
the point? I've got a great film right here with Lilo and Stitch. Tells the story. Why do I need it again?
I'm not gonna watch it at all, but I do. From what I've seen of it, it does look like the one that's being most accurate. But then, like, you know, why would we need one that's most accurate? We've got the fucking film right here. There's no point. But it does seem like that. Whereas, like, Beauty and the Beast, for instance, as much as like basically a shot-for-shot remake, it just seemed very. They were just trying to do the same thing. Whereas this feels like they're having more. I don't know how to explain it, but it does look like it's going to be one of the better ones. But I'm still. It's pointless. Like it's a really, really pointless move for Disney to make.
Yeah, just going back to the music real quick, because there are some moments of like real genuine emotion in this one, and I actually forgot that the score of this movie was done by Alan Silvestri, the guy who did the music to Back to the Future and the Avengers films, among loads of other scores as well. I think he did Predator, if I remember rightly, as well.
Did he do Snakes on a Plane? I don't know. Might not been in.
I've got to check that now. I'm almost certain he didn't, but Snakes on a Plane, I remember that movie.
Yeah, that had Samuel L. Jackson in it.
It did. No, Trevor Rabin did the music to that one, apparently. But that would have been amazing if he did.
Very close.
But the score to this is so heartfelt. There's like one bit of music that recurs throughout, and it's usually in those somber moments where Stitch is feeling alone and lost. Really nice melody, and I remember that melody closing out the ending credits on my old like VHS copy. I remember you get the I think you get Suspicious Minds, and then after that it goes back to like the orchestral stuff from the film. But the version I have on DVD, and I think this is the Disney Plus version, adds an extra Elvis cover at the end. I think it's I Can't Help Falling in Love with You. It's like a pop version of that, and there's no score in the end credits. So I don't know why they changed that. Maybe they thought that ending on that emotional score music from the film ended the film on a bit of a downer, and they wanted something a bit more poppy, a bit more. But I swear they edited it. I distinctly remember it ending with the score. But yeah, probably my favorite scene, and the scene that got me the most, was where he takes the Ugly Duckling book into the woods, and he just kind of stands there and he says, "I'm lost," and you're like, "Oh, no." I was getting emotional watching it. It's that or the lullaby, I think, with Nani are the 2 best bits. But do you have a favorite joke? Do you have a favorite moment in the movie, like a gag?
My favorite scene is where she calls into the washing machine, but we all know what happened to that one.
Well, yeah, so not only did they edit the end credits, apparently, and you know what? It's the UK version. It was a UK edit that changed the tumble dryer that Lilo hides into, I don't even know what it is. It's like a cabinet, but it's got a pizza box as a door. It looks like it doesn't belong in that room. A tumble dryer does, because it's the fucking kitchen. And yeah, they edited it because they were scared that kids were going to climb into tumble dryers, as if you would. I actually don't know if my original video has the version with a tumble dryer. I definitely remember seeing a tumble dryer and remembering that, but it says that the UK home video release was modified. So there's a good chance that it's that Mandela effect again, and that original video version that I've got still has the edited version.
I just find it funny, the fact that they're just like, yeah, but kids might fall into a tumble dryer. I was like, well, how about we stop letting retards have kids, and that won't happen. Because then their kids won't be retards. If you, I was going to say train your kids, that might not be the right phrase, but if you teach your kids better in life, they won't fall into tumble dryers. And you know what? If I have a kid and they feel like they're going to climb into a tumble dryer and be an absolute idiot, I feel like that is my right time as a parent to take them out into a field and shoot them in the head.
With love.
Yeah.
Oh, no, don't shoot them with love.
Well, no. Yeah, but if you do that, you'll be like, I'm doing this for your own good. Okay, because if you're doing this now as a kid, you're not going to get very far in life, and I would rather you that's it, like, and then
be cruel to be kind.
Yeah, and then erase any memory that you ever had a kid. I don't have a kid. What are you talking about?
But yeah, this UK edit with pizza box door cabinet thing, whatever it is, that's the one that's on Disney Plus. They've
I didn't
used
know
the
it was a
UK edit.
UK one though. I thought it was an all worldwide.
Oh, the edit. No,
Yeah,
just for us apparently.
I had a
Just
mini
for us.
proton
Maybe they
account.
think that we have stupid kids, which we probably do. I might not even argue with that.
Well, there was that phase, wasn't there, where kids were eating Tide Pods.
Oh yeah, remember that.
So yeah, I feel like we do have stupid children in the world, but hey ho.
So the biggest change of this, and you can actually find the original fully animated version of the ending. Nani, Jumba, and Pleakley, and Stitch were going to hijack a Boeing 747 and give chase to Captain Gantu that way. And they're in the Boeing 747, and they're twisting and turning, and they're flying through the city, I guess, or downtown Honolulu. They're flying all through there, and the aeroplane's kind of on its side, and the wheels are sort of like grazing against buildings and everything. It's a fantastically animated sequence. It must have took them absolutely bloody ages to animate that. And then a little event happened in September, September the 11th, 2001, I believe it was, wasn't it? Yeah, so a year before this
You
came
know,
out.
the
And
weird thing, someone said to me the other day, was like, "Do you remember 9/11?" And I'm like, I thought everyone did, but this person was like, how old were they? Like 20, and obviously 20-year-olds born in 2004. And I was just like,
yeah.
I thought everyone okay, and it was like the weirdest thing for someone to ask me.
And yeah, it's just because we're getting old, man. We're just getting old. But what are they teaching people in schools now? Because they're surely not teaching history. And yeah, it's a wonderfully animated sequence, and they've repurposed that, and they had to literally, I think, like weeks before like the end of production, they had to go back and reanimate the whole ending. So that's where you get the Boeing 747, which is changed into the red spaceship. I think it's Jumba's ship, isn't it? And they fly over the islands and the mountains and everything rather than the actual city. The scene still kind of plays the same, and I think it works fine. But could you imagine the animators that just their blood, sweat, and tears went into that final, and then it's like, right, we've got to change it all.
But why though?
I
Why?
know.
Why
But
do you need
it's
to
just
change animation because of something that happened? Yes, I know it happened like that same year. Well, this came out in
it
2002.
was the following year, wasn't it? But it was
But
around
yeah,
that time they were
yeah,
animating. Yeah.
exactly. Like it just happened, but still, it's like it's they're flying through a city. Like I don't understand why that needed changing. It's just boggles my mind the fact that they change these kind of things. But
Well, I remember when the Lord of the Rings was coming out, and obviously the second book's called The Two Towers, and it was coming out in 2002. And I think I remember seeing a petition where people were asking to change the name. And it's like, you can't, that's the name of the book. You're not going to change the name of
yeah,
it. So I'm glad they didn't,
but
because it seems
why?
like a big thing that they could have done. It's like Spider-Man as well, like the first Spider-Man film that came out in 2002. It was a teaser trailer for the film, but I have a big sneaky suspicion that that was going to be the character's introduction in the full outfit, the Spider-Man outfit, was where you've got, I think, some bank robbers that escape onto the roof and get in a helicopter and start flying away, and they get caught in a web that's between the two towers, which Spider-Man's introduction in the final film is like this really kind of like thrown together montage, and it feels a little bit awkward. It like almost cobbled together. So I do wonder if that was the original introduction. But a lot of films were doing it. A lot of films were
There
getting rid of.
were, yeah, there was a scene in Friends as well that got changed because they were going to joke about like bombs in airport security. It came out, 2002, 2001, whatever. And yeah, they've changed. I just don't understand why they do though. I really don't, because it's literally anything that had a tower in it was like, right, we got to get rid of that. Anything that was like someone flying in the city, right, we got to get rid of that. All the time. There's probably so many examples, like countless, but I don't get it.
No, I agree. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we can talk about with this one. It feels quite small scale.
Well,
This
to be fair, now you're on the subject. I don't know. 9/11 didn't really happen, did it?
it
We're
was
gonna
an
go that
inside
far.
job. um,
But no, in terms of this, I don't. It's weird because, like I say, this movie is you get what you see. What you see is what you get with this movie, and that's great. And that's one of the beauties of it. You don't have to think too hard. So yeah, there isn't really much beyond that surface level. Weirdly.
mhm. Yeah, no, that's why I'm actually trying to think of like what haven't we covered in the movie. We talked about favorite scenes. You can't really say favorite song because it's all Elvis Presley music, really.
My favorite song, though, from the whole series of it, would be the TV series intro. That's such a cool intro. I love that, and it's great. And this is another thing they did. I know I keep talking about the TV series and stuff, but like, when they did the TV series, they had characters from Recess in one episode as like a crossover, and another one I think they had like Kim Possible. They had crossovers within that as well. So Stitch has always been that multi-world moving like entity sort of thing. Like he's always been connected to other things. That's why I think his introduction in Kingdom Hearts 2 is really cool, because he's just this random little alien that appears and then suddenly he's your summon. You're like, all right, cool. Because he appears random, because like he appears, he's crawling across like the ceiling and stuff, and then you get him as a summon, and then suddenly in the Battle of 1,000 Heartless, he's there shooting them with you, and you're like, yes, this is cool.
I remembered actually a couple of extra songs in the film. I can't believe I forgot these because they're some of my favorite ones in the film. The opening one, which is that He Millie No Lilo. It's where you've got the dancers, the Hawaiian dancers at the beginning.
Yeah, and it's got the echo,
of the film. And Hawaiian roller coaster ride, which is probably my favorite, where they're surfing, and I love that scene as well. It's a really nice bit where the characters are going through, you know, all of life's troubles, and David says, "Let's just go surfing and just forget everything for a while."
Wasn't that Seed? Isn't that what's on? Wasn't that on the cover, the video cover?
Yeah, I think it might be the cover of this still as well, unless they've changed it. Oh no, they've changed it for this one. This is the DVD cover.
Yeah,
but yeah, my video was the surfing one. Yeah, with Nani, Lilo, and Stitch on the surfboard.
Yeah.
But it's just a really nice scene. It's a really nice, you know, the song and everything, and the characters just kick back and forget things for a while.
Yeah, it's
wholesome. Question. Carl says, "What are Disney going to do when they run out of films to remake? They'll remake the remakes. Why not?
They'll start doing sequels to things that didn't need them. They'll do Pinocchio 2 randomly, like something from years ago. They'll do horrible, horrible, horrible things like that. To be fair, speaking of sequels, I was watching a video the other day of would you prefer just no Star Wars sequels or Disney sequels? I was like, no Star Wars sequels. Like, just no, just don't. It stops at 6. That's it. But yeah, Disney will make sequels and continue. To be fair, as much as I am not a fan of the MCU, like I'm really, really not. One thing I think Disney did right was when they acquired Marvel. I don't know if it was exactly when or whatever, but then they started pumping out the MCU and everything and doing that and connecting it. As much as I don't like it, I can appreciate, obviously, they did well. They were, you know, great movies, the story's connected and all that kind of stuff. So Disney can do it. And that's, you know, again, it's not an original idea, is it? Because it's already comic books that they're adapting. So it's not Disney thinking for themselves in a way. But it shows they can work well and make, you know, intertwining storylines and all this, and they can do complex stuff. But for some reason, they're just not. Don't know why.
Well, the company's different now. The agenda's different. The political landscape's different, and the creative minds don't seem like what they used to be at Disney anymore, which is a sad thing. But if you look at Disney overall since the beginning, there's always been trends. There's always been like fads of things. And you mentioned like the Disney sequels. In the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s, that was the big push. It was like, let's just make really cheaply made direct-to-video sequels based on popular names of Disney films at the time that people are going to go, oh, that's another Cinderella film, or that's another Lion King film, or whatever. And, you know, some of them were okay. Like, I like Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas. It ain't a patch on the original, but I still like bits of it. Lion King 2 and 3 had its moments, but mostly they were all great. And it was a money spinning scheme. That's all it was. And when the money dried up on that, they moved to the next thing. And the current fad at the moment is live action remakes. It's easy money for Disney, but I think that they are starting to drop off a little bit. Little Mermaid wasn't as big a success as they initially thought. I think it probably did end up making.
That happens all the time. If they change a character like that, they made her black. Why? We didn't need that to happen. We didn't need that. We had a perfectly good red-headed white girl, you know, that could have played Little Mermaid. But then they started to make it all woke and shit. And that's where they seem to lose money. It's like Strange World. Didn't that lose loads of money?
Lost loads of money, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like... But I don't know why companies keep doing it, because Bud Light almost went bankrupt, didn't they? Was it Bud Light?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they did
and it
it. Yeah,
was yeah. So I
I
don't know
think
what.
did it, didn't they? Was it one of like the shaving
Yeah,
company?
and it's I feel like at the moment them doing remakes and stuff is them just trying to go fuck. We need money, so this is our safe bet. It's like, well, stop pumping out crap then, and then you wouldn't have to constantly do this.
I am wondering when the pendulum's going to swing though, because the trailer came out, the first trailer for this Mufasa movie that's coming out this December. The live, quote unquote, live action Lion King. They keep calling it live action. It's computer animated, so it's just another form of animation. I don't know how that made as much money as it did. It made a ridiculous amount of money, like 1.5 billion or like 1.6 billion or something like that. So of course they want to rush out something else that tied into it. Now, for me, a logical bet if they wanted to do that was to just do Lion King 2. But this is a Mufasa prequel, and the trailer got ratioed to hell and back. So it's coming out this December. December's pretty packed this year. It's pretty competitive. It's up against like Sonic 3 and that Lord of the Rings War of the Rohirrim movie that's coming out. But I'm wondering if audience are going to finally start saying no, we don't want any more of these. But I guarantee when Lilo and Stitch comes out next year, that's going to make a shit ton of money because everyone loves Stitch. Everyone fucking loves Stitch. And those trailers are going to come out and people are going to lose their minds like they haven't seen Stitch before. I'm like, you have. Everyone's
Yeah,
seen it. You probably own a copy. If you don't own a copy, you've got Disney Plus where you can fucking watch it. What's wrong with that? Why are you paying for the same shit that's going to be told in an inferior way?
yeah.
But
I
until the audience drops off and they stop making money, they're going to keep doing them. And then whatever the next fad will be after that, they'll go down that rabbit
I
hole.
don't know what I can imagine like a live action Lilo and Stitch. Don't know if I could imagine one.
No, it's so at home with animation. And the thing is, like, I don't want remakes to any of these films anyway. But if you were gonna do remakes, remake stuff that, like the underrated gems that you could really make the most of with like a big live action budget. Treasure Planet, Atlantis that we've talked about, a Black Cauldron, something like that that had like maybe had potential and didn't quite hit the heights that they expected it to. But you could go nuts with it. But judging by what Disney are like at the moment, I wouldn't want them to even touch those films. I'd be like, just leave them. They're fine. I'm good. It's such a shame because back in these days, I sound like such an old man now. Back in my day, you saw that Disney name, you saw that on something, and it was always the hallmark of quality, especially in the land of animation and like family entertainment. Disney was king. Disney was an absolute titan. And you looked forward to it. It's like, oh, what's the next Disney animated motion picture going to be? And now I just see Disney are remaking this, Disney's whatever, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, what? How are they going to fuck it up this time? And that's how far it's dropped and it's across the board. Now, with the Marvel stuff, there's rumors that they've cleaned house with all of the woke stuff and the activists in the writing department and whatnot. And they've quietly got rid of them all and they're drafting in new people. Now, unfortunately, the next few projects that are going to come out are carryovers from that woke time, which we've seen with Marvel, like Phase 4 and Phase 5. It's been an absolute train wreck. So maybe they're going to course correct, but I do wonder if it's a little too late. Star Wars just seems like it's doubling down, and Disney also seems like it's not going anywhere. They've tried a couple of original projects, which have all lost money. I wonder why. And they're just going, right, let's not do original content because it's not making money. Let's do sequels to some of our most popular stuff. Frozen, Moana, Zootopia,
Yep.
Toy Story 5, Incredibles 3 with
Is
Pixar.
Frozen going to be the first quadrilogy that come from Disney?
The
Like
first
an outtake?
trilogy. It'd be the first trilogy.
Oh yeah, no, but because they've already announced four, haven't they?
Oh, have they?
Well, that's what I read. I don't know how it's been in the sense of it hasn't. I don't think it's been announced like three was, but I think I've heard the whole. But they've also said they're doing a four as well. I don't know.
What a liberty that is, though. You're announcing 4 before you've even released 3.
Well, that's what I heard. As I say, I don't know. I don't like. I love Frozen, which we'll get onto in a few videos. But it's one of them. It's like I don't give a shit where our powers came from. Just like that's the whole point. I don't care. We don't want to know. Leave it alone.
Carl says, with Inside Out 2 and Deadpool making 1 billion each, we're going to get a lot of sequels. Yeah, Inside Out 2. I still haven't seen either of those films yet. Deadpool, I've heard mixed things. I've heard that it's like fun for what it is, but in terms of writing, it's nowhere near as strong as the previous 2 Deadpool films. Inside Out 2, I've heard good things. So, and I've heard with those films, at least with Inside Out 2, they do away with all of the woke garbage, and it's just an entertaining. Back in the days of what Disney did best, where they just made an entertaining movie.
Like the thing about Inside Out, it's great, but the trailers, I remember watching it thinking, this looks really good. Watched it and I went, it's all right. So I don't actually have a desire to watch number 2.
Right. No, I really enjoyed the first Inside Out film. It's so it's probably one of my favorite Pixar films. The OGs, like it doesn't hold a candle towards like Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, those original classics like that. But I know I really enjoyed Inside Out. I thought it was a fun little idea.
I was gonna say I've still never watched Cars.
You're not missing much.
It doesn't look like I am. It looks awful. Who made Planes?
Well, that was like Pixar Studios, but it was made for like TV. It was a TV, so it wouldn't have had the budget. Yeah, but it ties it into the Cars world.
Who did the Snails one? Turbo. That was DreamWorks, wasn't it?
Oh God, I forgot about that. I think you might be right.
Yeah, because wasn't there like a point where there was quite a few of them?
Turbo. Jesus. Yeah, it was a DreamWorks film. Fucking hell, I forgot about that. I love how the poster. Oh yeah, he's fast, they're furious. I was going to say it looks like the font and how it looks like a Fast and Furious movie.
Did it do well?
Also starring Michelle Rodriguez. Oh my God, it is a Fast and Furious movie. It was done on a budget of 135 mil and it made 282.
See, it was one of those things. I remember. I think I was working at HMV at the time, so I saw posters of it, but I didn't hear. Like, I haven't heard anyone talk about that ever. Like, it's never one of those things. Go, have you seen Turbo? Never. It's I can't believe it. Imagine it being that good.
I'll say DreamWorks is a mixed bag of a company, isn't it, in terms of the films that they put out? I'm trying to see if there's a full, because they haven't got like a numbered list. I don't think there's like franchises.
It was DreamWorks that did Sinbad.
Oh, here we go. Release timeline. Oh no, maybe there is. Shit, there's quite a lot. Yeah, they did Sinbad. So in the early days, I think their first film was Ants, actually. 1998, fantastic. You're opening strong. Prince of Egypt the same year. Road to El Dorado.
That was good. That was a very good movie.
Chicken Run apparently was through them. Shrek.
Did the Chicken Run as well?
Spirit, Sinbad. Oh, Shark Tale. I know you really like Shark Tale, but then you have Madagascar.
Better than Finding Nemo.
Wallace and Over the Hedge, Flushed Away, Shrek the Third, B movie.
Hey,
now we've gone way off the beaten track.
Flushed Away was all right. Over the Hedge was okay. Shrek the Third was not.
No, it was terrible.
I've never seen B movie.
B movie is a meme.
I remember I definitely was working at HMV when B movie came out. Wait, what year did it come out? Was I working at
2007.
Okay, I wasn't working there when it came out, but I basically remember a story. So I was working at HMV, and this guy came in looking for, so B movies, the whole like Sharknado, all that kind of shit. Yeah. And he just said he was looking for B movies. So I went and got in the Disney movie, and he got really confused. And I was like, "This is what I thought you meant." He was like, "No, B movie." And it's the first time I ever heard that phrase from working there. I was like, "I don't get what you're on about." And he's like, like Sharknado and stuff. I was like, what over here? And I showed him, and then he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I remember I told someone, everyone found it funny. They were like, "You got him like the DreamWorks movie," and I was just like, "I'd never heard that phrase until today. That was the first time I ever heard it."
And it blew his mind if he'd watched B movie. It's random as hell. But then you've got really good stuff, like Kung Fu Panda, the Kung Fu Panda trilogy. I still haven't seen Kung Fu Panda 4.
Never seen Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, mate, they're so good. The first 3 are brilliant. I've heard mixed things on the 4th. That's why I've stayed away. How to Train Your Dragon. The first 2 are great. I wasn't too keen on the 3rd one. Then they've got Trolls. So they've got a lot of big franchises.
I've seen Trolls. It was okay.
And then next year we've got Shrek 5.
No, stop it. Because I've not seen Shrek 4. Apparently it's all right.
It's still bad, but it's better than 3. Anything's better than 3.
The first 2 were amazing, but
then you've got the Puss in Boots spin-offs that they did. They did 2 of them.
Puss in Boots, I feel like I've seen the first one. I might have fallen asleep watching it.
The second one's meant to be good. Was it The Last Wish or something? I haven't seen that though.
Well, I do know Puss in Boots was the first thing. Every time they did, this was the one. I don't remember it in the cinema. They always did the trailers, and it was always like it was the audio descriptive trailers. So they would have, or it was the audio descriptive trailers. I don't know what's the other one. Audio description. Well, there's no Braille movies, are there? That's not. But yeah, it was already a description, and it was like, yeah, you're watching it was like come on part like play like 20 seconds of a scene, and then suddenly there would be like it would just black out, and then it would come up with the audio description. And this was when I was a kid. I remember watching it in cinema. Well, I say a kid, not like a little kid, but you know. And I remember that was my first introduction to what's an audio descriptive movie, like in the cinema. I didn't know what that was, so I remember Puss in Boots being that.
I watched the first. I don't really remember much about the first one. I think it was just like fine for what it is, but the second one's meant to be really, really decent.
Well, one thing about Shrek is as well. I can't remember. There was a couple of voice actors. I think it was Shrek. Yeah, it was Shrek 2. So there's this happened. It was really, really weird. It's minor things. So there's a couple of voice actors that were changed from the American version to the English version.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah, Jonathan Ross plays the ugly stepsister or stepmother or whatever it is.
That's it. That's what I was thinking of. And there's someone else. I can't remember.
Yeah, the presenter at like the red carpet, like the premiere, was like a British news presenter or something that got changed. Because I had a naughty pirate copy of that film when I was growing up before I got the DVD, and it was the American version. So I'd seen it at the cinema, and I was aware of the voice actors, and then I was like, that voice actor is wrong. That voice is wrong for that character. And it's different versions, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird though. It's really random in a way.
Mm-hmm. I think a few animated films do. I'm trying to think. There's another one that does that, where they change the voice. It's just whatever's popular in a certain country, isn't it? Really, I guess.
Yeah.
To get an actor for that.
But still, Shrek the Third was awful.
It really was. It really, really was. Had a comment from Seaward Man who says, "Love this film." Yeah, Lilo and Stitch. I don't actually know where we've got to do a ranking at some point as well. Probably when we've done the whole retrospective.
This is going to be up there. This is going to be up there. I don't know where it would sit, like exactly what number, but it's going to be in the top 10. Definitely in the top 10.
It's going to entirely depend on where I rank certain ones, because I guess you're going to have like S tier, A, B, C. I don't know how far it's going to go down, but. Yeah, like if I'd put like Hunchback and Beauty and the Beast at like S tier. Spoiler alert, I guess, for the ranking video. But then I'm thinking, let's say I put, I don't know, what other one from the Renaissance? Like Little Mermaid. Would I put that at a B or would I put that at an A? I don't really know. So then I've got to relate this one to that one. Like to me, Little Mermaid is better than Lilo and Stitch, but I still really like Lilo and Stitch. You know what I mean? So it's going to be difficult to rank it.
Little Mermaid would have been an A, but then the Ursula boss battle made me sad, so I put it to a B.
Carl says, Hugh Jackman is amazing. I just found Deadpool really annoying. I know it's his personality, but I hate that person who thinks they're the funniest person in the room. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Deadpool for me is funny in small doses. That's why I really like the marketing for a lot of the Deadpool films, how it'll be like a little 30-second video of him to camera. And I think that's funny. It's like a little, like shot of espresso or something. And you're like, oh, that was good. But when there's like a 2.5 hour movie of nothing but Deadpool and those constant jokes, some land, some don't. And I think he does overstay his welcome a little bit sometimes. But I think that's it then. So I don't really want to do a DreamWorks retrospective unless we can end it after we've done Shrek 2. Actually, no, we'd have to stick around for the Kung Fu Panda films because they're really good.
Never seen them. They just don't appeal to me. But
then again, mate, honestly, when I went to see, I was going to say Kingdom Hearts then. I remember Kung Fu Panda, and I was at my mate's, and we used to go to the cinema every week. And his little brother really wanted to see Kung Fu Panda. They always said, like, "Do you want to come to the cinema with us?" And half the time, I didn't know what they were seeing. And I'd get there, and I'd be like, "What are we seeing today?" And it'd be whatever shitty film was out that week. And they said Kung Fu Panda. And I'd seen the trailers for it, and I thought, "Oh God, that Jack Black bit looks terrible. Like the jokes looked really cringe." And I was blown away from like the first 5 or 10 minutes and got genuinely emotionally invested in that entire trilogy to the point where like manly tears were shed. It's fucking incredible. The first 3 at least. And then the 4th one, did that come out earlier this year or last year, whatever? Just a total cash grab. And I've stayed away from it, but I'll probably get around to it this Christmas or something just to catch up with some of the films I've missed this year.
Well, it's like How to Train Your Dragon did well. I didn't love the first one. I loved the second one. Never seen the third.
Third one I wasn't too keen on, but yeah.
Did you know they used to be, they were books though, weren't they?
Yeah.
They're really kiddie books as well.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean they've taken the concept probably, haven't they, and just blown it.
Aren't they doing a live action remake of that?
Yeah, DreamWorks are getting in on it now.
I know, but they're
God,
doing a live action
God help us
remake.
when we get to Kung Fu Panda live action remake.
Well, the thing is, they're doing a live action remake of fucking How to Train Your Dragon. For some reason, that left my head. But aren't they making like the Norse main character black or something?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, that'll be fun.
Feels so great, doesn't it?
Yep. Be alive in 2024.
Yeah, how about we get some history? Can we keep it authentic as much as possible? How about we get like a Norse actor in there? That'd be cool, right?
Yeah,
No?
but nope.
Okay, that's fine. I'll see how it is.
Weird how we can do that, but we're not allowed to make
one rule for one rule for another. It's nice to have equality in this day and age, isn't it? It's great.
I know, it's
so
great.
Anyway, that's Lilo and Stitch. That was fun. I feel like it's a long review because we've talked about DreamWorks for like the last 20 minutes. But yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about the film. Final thoughts on Lilo and Stitch. It was absolute pleasure watching this one again. It kind of, the fond memories of it all came flooding back, and I think it's just a really nice, emotional, simple story. And sometimes that's all you need. I think there's a lot of heart to it. The voice acting works, and the characterization of the two sisters is really nice to frame the story around. And yeah, the Hawaii setting was a kind of a breath of fresh air a little bit as well. Different location for what we've seen before, and captures the beauty of it. And yeah, feels like it's harkening back to old school Disney movies. The simple animation style as well, similar to Dumbo. There's not a whole load of detail in there. They only had like a limited budget for this one. It was quite a small budget for the film, and I think they captured that well. They found a lot of shortcuts around with the animation. Characters just kind of have like a simple blocky design to them, not like masses of detail. And but yeah, it's a really sweet movie, and probably one of the best Disney films. Sort of, I say the modern era. It came out in 2002. It's 22 years ago now, but you know what I mean.
It feels like that modern era to us.
Yeah.
What was the last one? Was Princess and the Frog, wasn't it? The last 2D animation one.
For us, yes. I guess if you count the American list, then it's that Winnie the Pooh movie they did in like 2011. That was the last official one.
What year was it, Princess and the Frog?
2009, I think.
Yeah, so it has been quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember when the trailer came out for Disney's Wish, which is computer animation, but it almost looks cel-shaded in some parts, and I was like, oh, okay, this is like a cool blend of 2D and computer animation, but I just want traditional animation again, man. Just one.
Pixar was the 3D, and Disney had now it just all looks the same, and I really don't like that.
Same.
I mean, I don't like that. The thing is, they can look cool. Like I think Tangled is a beautiful looking movie. I think that's amazing. Would that look good as 2D? Yeah, it would look good as 2D.
Yeah.
But if I was to compare the two, like I think Tangled's the one that works the best, in the sense of, I mean, like, I've got a lot of love for Elsa, but Frozen, if they made that 2D, I think they could even make it look better. But Tangled is one I will stand by and say, do you know what? If that was like the Pixar movie and it was given to them and it was all, I think that's one I'd stand by. The animation looks amazing. And if, let's say in some parallel world, we would get 2D versions of like Frozen and stuff, it'd be worth watching and worth looking at. And I think, do you know what? I want to see this in 2D because I think they would look great. Tangled is one. If they for some reason skip that one, I'll be okay with that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I remember seeing the concept art for Tangled where they have sketched it out in 2D, thinking like, oh, I would love this in 2D. It really fits the mold of like a Disney Renaissance film, and that kind of style of animation would have looked gorgeous. However, there's one scene in that film, which I guess I'm spoiling this for our Tangled review later on. It's my favorite scene in the film. When it gets to the lantern ceremony, I see the light, and you get those like wonderful sweeping camera shots of the lanterns in the sky and the panoramic shots. I was thinking, yeah, okay, I can see how you'd have the limitations of 2D animation here.
That's what I mean. That's probably why I think it works so well, because of that. And also even the tower. Maybe just because like the Kingdom Hearts 3 world where you stood there and you can see the tower in the distance. I don't know. But I guess we'll talk about all that in our review for it, because that is again going to be one of my ones that's up there. But this one, Lilo and Stitch, I think it's definitely up there. It's one of the ones that beats quite a lot of the Disney movies and knocks them out of the water.
Yeah, well, we'll be getting to Tangled in a couple of months' time. However, next week, one of my personal favorites, definitely probably in the top 10. Top 10 definitely, top 5. Oh, I'm not sure. Very, very underrated. but an absolute gem nonetheless. And that's going to be number 42, Treasure Planet. Coincidentally, one of my favorite slipcovers. Love the purple design, that design as well. This is going to be, I've seen this film loads, so this isn't going to be a surprise to me, but one of the most heartfelt for me. There's a scene in this in particular which always makes me tear up every single time. The music, I can't wait to watch it again. Yeah, so Treasure Planet, very underrated gem, bit of a cult classic now. I think this one sort of similar to Atlantis
since it came out.
What? Sorry,
I haven't seen it since it came out. I don't think.
Oh, you're in for a treat, man. So good.
I watched it. I remember when it came out. I remember watching it when it came out. I remember the little game of it. But yeah, I've watched it for a long time.
I cannot wait to watch that one this week. It's going to be an absolute treat. So
that'd be a good world in Kingdom Hearts.
It would be a phenomenal world in Kingdom Hearts, and probably would top the list of worlds I wish they would do in another Kingdom Hearts game. But yeah, we'll get to that video as well at some point. We've still got loads of Disney things to do. I think we clocked this as finishing in January. So
what's after Treasure Planet?
Brother Bear. So
yeah,
the steady decline a little bit.
Yeah.
There's bits I like in that film. There's still bits I like in some of the music.
There are, but I'm glad I've watched it. Gotten to watch it again. I'm not going to hype myself for it. I'm not going to be like, oh my god. It's going to be like, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Disney really fucked the release for Treasure Planet. Like, they didn't market it, and I think it was up against like some big films. They didn't push that film at all. It was like it was sabotaged from the inside.
What year was it again? It came out.
I'm guessing probably 2003, wasn't it? Was it the following year after Lilo and Stitch?
What year
Treasure Planet?
Sinbad?
Oh no, 2002. Wait, that came out the same year.
So what year was Sinbad then?
Legend of the Seven Seas, wasn't it? 2003.
Yeah. So the point is, it was all that piratey kind of, even like Atlantis. No, not pirates, but you know what I mean? That watery kind of feel.
Sci-fi kind of, adventure.
And that's the thing. Even Curse of the Black Pearl wasn't too long afterwards, was it?
2003 was Curse of the Black Pearl.
Exactly, that's the thing. So it's that piratey kind of thing. It's kind of similar trends to how back in like 2000, 2001, if you look at PlayStation games, a lot of them had a beachy, watery aesthetic. A lot of them did. Because it's like games learn how to make reflections on water and make it look cool. So they all went. I mean, Kingdom Hearts came out in 2002. You know, you had Final Fantasy X that was set on a beach as well. Like, you had all these things. When did Super Mario Sunshine come out? That was a beachy kind of watery look. And it was just, there's always these big trends, which is really cool. So Treasure Planet really fits the kind of trends of animation that's at the time.
And we know how...
Lilo and Stitch didn't break it because it's a sci-fi kind of thing, but like you say, it feels that more traditional Disney, so it feels like it kind of is the odd one out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the underrated gems. It's that duo of Atlantis and Treasure Planet that almost go hand in hand for me. So yeah, that's going to be a pleasure to talk about that one. I've got so many positive things I can say about that film. It's phenomenal. And then that I've kind of prepared you for it. I'm like, enjoy this while it lasts. Enjoy Treasure Planet. Really savor that one, because
when's the next good one?
Decline. Well, I mean, you're going to hit the heights of Treasure Planet, and then you got Brother Bear, and then you got Home on the Range, and you got Chicken Little, and then you got The Wild, which I haven't seen, so I don't want to say The Wild. I could really enjoy that, but I'm just going to predict The Wild. Meet the Robinsons, I haven't seen. Then you've got Bolt. And then you've got Princess and the Frog.
We've got a long time.
It's going to be the steady decline. This has been an absolute joy so far. It's going to turn into a real... This is going to be, like the war era, the World War II era films, where I enjoyed watching them because I hadn't seen a lot of them, but it was kind of a bit of a struggle to get through them some weeks. It was difficult to get jazzed about... what did we have? Saludos Amigos. It was a bit difficult to get jazzed about that.
What was our favorite one? Was it Melody Time or was it Make My Music?
I actually can't remember. Those two kind of blur into.
They do, and the thing is, all the package films kind of do in a way, but kind of like Saludos Amigos and what was the other one? Free Caballeros. But
I think it was Melody Time we liked, wasn't it?
Yeah, but they were really fun. Which one? Yeah, Melody Time.
No, it was Make My Music. It was the one with the baseball thing in it, right? And the whale and Peter and the Wolf.
Again, they all blur into one, but yes, I feel like that was.
I think it was that first one.
But they were really fun. They were a fun little watch.
Mm-hmm.
They were a nice little. If you have a newborn baby, put it on the background.
It was like a mini Fantasia film, wasn't it? I guess those ones.
Yeah, because they
Sort
didn't know what else to do.
of. They're spinning their wheels. Why? A global war was happening.
Well, I wish that a global war would happen. No, I don't. No, I wish that that's how that they would spin their wheels now, doing random, just going, let's do package films. But no, let's just do sequels, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, well. Well, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer on this Disney retrospective. We're going to have peaks. We're going to have valleys. But next week, Old Boy is at a peak. Can't wait to talk about that one. So, yeah, thank you to everyone that's tuned in and commented throughout. We do appreciate you and, checking in on us and sending messages and keeping the conversation going. That's why we're doing what we're doing. And if you haven't done so already and you're discovering this video after the fact, let us know your thoughts on Lilo and Stitch. Is it one of your favorites? Any favorite moments, songs, characters, anything you want? Let's talk Disney. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Obviously, we're going to keep this retrospective going. We're going to have plans for other retrospectives in the near future too. I've got a lot of other videos coming out. This week, we're starting the Rings of Power Season 2. I'm going to be collaborating on a video with Everything in Middle-earth. And if I do get around to watching any other movies, actually, we're seeing a movie this week. Your favorite Star Wars film, Attack of the Clones.
You didn't have to remind me. I was going to have such a good Friday.
So, yeah, I guess we'll be doing Star Wars reviews as well. If you're down for that, it'll be good to go back to some of those ones. It will for me, probably not for you. I love Attack of the Clones, but
it's the only one I dread. It's the only one I dread. At least Return the Jedi. I don't dread it. Dread it. I don't dread it.
I don't dread it.
But I get it, and I'm like, all right, cool. But Attack of Clones, I literally have to go in with like a shot of adrenaline.
Yeah, but we're living in a post-Disney sequel world now. I guarantee you might go back to this one. You might find some enjoyment in it.
I mean,
maybe.
I'll find more enjoyment than I did in Last Jedi. Let's put it that way.
Oh, God, yeah. But yeah, that'll do it, I think. So we will be back potentially on Friday for Attack of the Clones. But if you're here for the Disney stuff, we'll see you next Monday for Treasure Planet. Take care, everyone.